You want to scream, but you can't. It feels like your eardrums are going to burst.
We are renegades, this means war. We are renegades, this means war. We are renegades, this means war.
Absolutely, absolutely. Was that going to be part of the evolution? Was it something you came up with, or something that Paul came up with, or the bookers, or how did that work?
At the time, Paul didn't even know I could talk.
Absolutely, 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 absolutely. That I know it's something that you've talked about a billion times before, but I have to ask it.
Mr. Sean Cunningham games like Mr. Sean Cunningham games like Mr. Sean Cunningham Mr. Sean Cunningham games like Sam.
I just want to say thanks. We had a blast.
Mr. Sean Cunningham games like Mr. Sean Cunningham games like Sam.
I just want to say thanks. We had a blast.
Mr. Sean Cunningham Sean Cunningham, are you there?
I am here, sir.
You're on the road right now, so we do apologize if there's any diminishing of sound quality throughout this podcast. But we did figure it was pretty important to get on the air ASAP. So we're doing a live show right now. Welcome to War Weekly. If this is your first time listening, go back in the archives, check us out, www.wrestlingaudiorevolution.com. Hours upon hours, days upon days of podcasts from ourselves, from Shotgun Shan and myself, Vintage Update, from the brothers at Fedcast, and now introducing our newest addition to the website, DJ LT's Dance Party, which will be online this coming week. So everybody's going to have to check that out if you're into not just wrestling, but you're into music and you're into dancing and you're into having fun. But, man, what kind of a day are we having right now, Sean? I was on my way to see a client, and I'm listening to AM radio. I don't know why. Sometimes I just do that. And it was Talk 1010. Jerry Yeager. Hi, I'm Jerry Yeager. I'm the voice of white privilege. I think the black guy reached for the gun. Okay, I don't know. I'm pretty sure he did. Anyway, that's Jerry Yeager, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't live in Toronto, you have no idea who the fuck that is, and you're better for it.
Consider yourself grateful that you don't, if you've never heard it.
Yeah, but, man, some real shit obviously going on with Hulk Hogan. I hadn't been on the internet. I hadn't been reading the sheets. I hadn't been reading the websites. But Jerry said, after the break, we talk about the Hulk Hogan situation. And I'm like, ears perked up. What?
Yeah.
What Hulk Hogan situation? So you and I have just had a very brief conversation sort of getting our timeline right about everything that's happened here. Sean, first of all, did your girlfriend bring this to your attention, or did you find out about it on your own?
No, my lovely girlfriend Marlene brought this to my attention this morning, and it was one of those things where I read through the little script, and I'm going, oh, I might need to do some looking into this. And it was like, and the thing that triggered when I quickly read through it and it mentioned the sex tape, I'm like, uh-oh, what else did somebody find? Because we all know about the Gawker suit and everything else. And what it looks like is there was some further investigation by the FBI, and it's found some other interesting things that are not good for Mr. Hogan.
So there were, I guess, I think 2 additional sex tapes that were discovered through this investigation. Is that right? Is that what you've sort of...
That is what we've heard up to this point.
One of which contained the content and the comments that Hulk Hogan made that have led to his termination from WWE, him being completely wiped off the website. Sean, you have the network. Have they done anything to get rid of him in the archives yet? Have you looked?
I did look right as it started coming out about an hour before we went, and no, he's still there, and I think it would be quite the epic undertaking to wipe him out from the network. And my figuring is, if they've done things and put warnings on, as they did with Chris Benoit, as they do with a lot of their programming, I think that's their way around it. And also, I think if you were to wipe Hogan out from the network, you've wiped out, 70% of the company's history in the last 30 years?
Well, I saw a fantastic meme just before we started the show. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but I do encourage anyone who sees it to share it because it's so true. And, you talk about the undertaking that it would require to remove Hogan from history, but it has him body slamming Andre at WrestleMania 3, and it says, that historic night when Andre the Giant tripped. That big moment of WrestleMania, that big WrestleMania moment when Andre the Giant tripped, and then it shows him getting slammed by Hogan. So, I know this isn't a show to make jokes. Obviously, Okay, let's just read the statement, because this is really how it all started to all of us. And this was something that has come out, I guess, through the discovery in the Gawker lawsuit and the FBI investigation. And these were sex tapes that he made with Bubba the Love Sponge's wife. I think I just threw up in my mouth a little bit, but let me just read this statement here from WWE, because this is how the shitstorm that was Friday, July the 24th, all started, 2015.
Yes.
WWE terminated its contract with Terry Bollea, a.k.a. Hulk Hogan. WWE is committed to embracing and celebrating individuals from all backgrounds, as demonstrated by the diversity of our employees, performers, and fans worldwide, end quote. So that was how it all started when WWE put that out. Again, I wasn't near the websites, so I'm really hearing about this all after the fact, but I would be pretty freaked out if I had seen that right when it was posted. So then a few minutes afterwards, of all sources, Sean, the National Enquirer released a story, and they were the first ones to sort of talk about the comments made in this one of these additional sex tapes. Hulkster using the N-word several times in a dialogue. What exactly was he talking about? I don't really fully understand. I guess there's a few quotes here. Let me just read. Do you know exactly what the comments, who he was referring to with these?
My understanding is that he was referring to a boyfriend of his daughter Brooks at the time.
Okay. Oh yes, there we go. These were some of his quotes. I'm not going to obviously say the words because I don't say that word. And
no.
I'll talk about that in a minute, because this was obviously something. I'm making jokes. I'm making light of it, but it pissed me off too. But a lot of things have pissed me off lately with our world here in North America. But anyway, I don't know if Brooke was fucking the black guy's son, Hulk raved, the sources add. I mean, I don't have double standards. I mean, I am a racist to a point. Fucking N-words. But then when it comes to nice people and shit and whatever, and then I guess he goes on a bit of a tirade about Mel Gibson and Dog the Bounty Hunter. And Hulkster says, I mean, I'd rather, if she was fucking some N-word, I'd rather have her marry an 8-foot-tall N-word worth $100 million like a basketball player.
Okay.
I guess we're all a little racist. Fucking N-word. So these were just a few of the statements, I guess, made in this, but they were part of this National Enquirer story. And Hulkster made a statement to People magazine following that. And he said this was Hulkster's comments regarding this whole scandal. 8 years ago, I used offensive language during a conversation. It was unacceptable for me to have used the offensive language. There is no excuse for it, and I apologize for having done it. This is not who I am. I believe very strongly that every person in the world is important and should not be treated differently based on race, gender, orientation, religious beliefs, or otherwise. I am disappointed with myself that I use language that is offensive and inconsistent with my own beliefs. So that was Hulk's statement to People magazine.
Damage control, ladies and gentlemen.
Sure. Because, for me personally, I agree with the part about people should not be treated differently based on race, gender, orientation, religious beliefs, or otherwise. With that said, I'm not going to get on a phone call or on a sex tape or on anything, a private conversation with you when no tape is rolling, and start using the N-word and saying the things that he said. So yes, you can take that whole thing and just flush it down the damage control commode, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, you can.
The guy's acting like, when I was young, 8 years ago, when I was a teenager and I was young and stupid. That was 8 years ago. You were what? Fucking 70?
50.
Right.
Really.
Anyway, we won't even give anything he says much credence, and we didn't before this anyway.
No.
But I mean, geez, this is quite the story, and Hulk Hogan is such a huge part of the WWE story. The WWF story. And everybody knows about, those years, and everybody that grew up in those years. Hulkster was probably a big reason why you started watching wrestling.
Yeah.
But man, I gotta think he's finished right now.
Well, yeah, I would think so. The only other thing I could think of, and there's a lot of, we could spend hours on WB and Hulk Hogan and public perception versus the truth and all that stuff. That could be like 2 weeks worth of material, just on that alone. But right now, you look at it. What Hulk did was ridiculously stupid. I'm trying not to use expletives right now. Just beyond insensitive and ignorant, and just wrong. And WB has to do what WB has to do as a corporate, publicly traded entity in the U.S. as the media house that it is. The only thing they can do is terminate. There is no other option when that story is going to come out, because they have to do damage control too.
Now, Mel Gibson was definitely ruined by that scandal and
yes.
The horrible things he said. Dog the Bounty Hunter, though, I believe he is now on TV again, isn't he? Like, he didn't actually... I know reruns are.
Reruns are, and they did a newer version of that after. So he kind of, apologized and made peace and disappeared for a while and did his thing and cleaned up and is now back.
So
as far as I know.
Well, I guess it's not completely out of the realm of possibility that we'll see Hulk Hogan again somewhere. I feel silly asking this, but I mean, Pac-Man, I have to ask it. Will TNA touch him? I mean, I know they can't afford him, but then again, what is afford him at this point? If he has nowhere else that will touch him, entertainment or wrestling.
It depends on how soon.
They would be that stupid, though, wouldn't they? I mean, they really would.
They would be, but there was a piece of news that came out about them today.
Oh, what'd you hear? I haven't been near the internet much today.
That they're
fantastic to do a podcast when you haven't been on the internet.
Yeah. No, what I read literally just before we went to tape was, and it's all over Twitter as well, the idea that they brought back Bully Ray a couple weeks ago as their like head of TNA or something, some ridiculous storyline like that. He quit today. He was there for 2 weeks and he quit.
So he's gone now too.
He's left TNA too. So the state of wrestling and big names in wrestling, I don't know. It's interesting right now, and I mean, part of me wants to move on to better things, but I know the Hogan thing is so huge. But the other thing WWE used to think about, they removed everything, and they've done this in the middle of a reality show that he was part of. And that's the one thing I'm not seeing a lot about right now. What is WWE going to do with Tough Enough?
Well, they're going to get a replacement. Where are we at? Tough Enough has ended now, right? Has it? Season 1 or whatever?
In terms of live eliminations, no. There's still like 4 or 5 guys left.
Okay, so they got more episodes to turn out. So
yeah.
Who do they put in that position?
Or do they?
I know Steve, it didn't work out for his schedule. But
no,
then again, I heard that Smoking Skull or whatever ranch, what's it called? Is that what it's called?
Battle Skull Challenge or something.
Right. I heard that they're on strike right now.
The crew that was filming and producing that show walked off in the middle of taping because they're not unionized. They don't have any contracts or anything.
So maybe he does have a little more. Maybe he has a little bit of time then, is what you're saying.
He might, but then again, they also walked off in the middle of taping for that too. So if he gets a call to say, we've settled, let's go back to work,
right?
Where are his commitments with the WB or with the show on CMT, Country Music Television? Don't know. I know he was going to be an original option, whether it be a judge or was he going to do Jericho's job at homes?
Yeah.
I don't remember which job he was going to do.
The thing is that Jericho's job is not at all what Steve did.
No,
they've completely just butchered and bastardized that show anyways. I think they should just pull the plug. It's been a ratings disaster, I know that.
Oh, yeah, USA is pissed.
So, fuck. If they just pulled the plug, I don't think that would be the worst thing, but I don't think they're going to do that. I've heard they're going to name a replacement. But again, who do you get to fill Hulk Hogan's shoes? Of all the things that I thought would sever this business relationship, and I assumed it would because these guys always have fights and
every couple of years.
Every couple of years, yeah. And this time I didn't think would be any different. I didn't know how long they'd go. But I figured that within a few years, Hulk will be gone again. And where, I don't know. Lucha Underground? Anyway. But I certainly didn't think it would be anything like this. I wish I could say I'm sad to see him flush his legacy down the toilet like this. But I don't really have a lot of sympathy for him.
No, there's been too many lies and too many kind of weird things, especially in the last 10 years, going back to even the reality show and everything, the Hogan Knows Best crap, and coming back in 05 or 06, doing the stuff with like Michaels and Orton and all the burials and the book and the BS and the Hogan biography and all that stuff. But I always try and separate from the 80s and 90s Hulk Hogan, which I somewhat respected, to the last 15 years Hulk Hogan, which is kind of a shell and a goof.
Mm-hmm. For me, it's just it's one of those things. Like, as much as he wasn't one of my favorite people before this came out today. With that said, I mean, this is something that just disgusts me to the core. I mean, I am so sickened by the news right now. I'm so sickened by everything going on regarding the black community. I think it's just so appalling that humans are still concerned with color, they're still concerned with race, ethnicity, and it's reached a point with me where I feel white people do way too much sitting around and just not wanting to get involved. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to post anything on Facebook. Either way, I don't want to be involved in this. And for me, I'm the complete opposite. I want to be very involved in it. I want nothing to do with anyone, April fucking Hunter or whoever. There's a lot of people that I've had to block on Facebook, block on Twitter, for no reason other than they just really piss me off. And anything being done right now to undermine the black community, a community that's just been beaten on and beaten on and beaten on, and it seems like every week the racial divide gets greater. Bigger, and the debt that white people owe the black community gets bigger and bigger by the week. I'm sick of the shooting of unarmed black men. I'm sick of women that are being pulled out of cars, not told why they're being arrested, told to put out their cigarette when they're in their own car. I don't recall any law against that. When not putting out the cigarette, everybody knows what I'm talking about in the story, and I don't need to get too much into that, other than to say that was complete fucking bullshit right there on video, right before your eyes. At a time like this, my whole attitude is I want to speak out about it as much as possible, and I want to expose it for what it is: wicked, evil shit. And people need to stop being afraid to talk about it. And obviously that's the worst cases, shooting of black men that are reaching for the gun, quote unquote, or black women that are, quote unquote, hanging themselves in their jail cell. But it's even just as simple as saying a word. Yeah. It's like, if you're somebody that likes to say that word when you're in private and you think it's all cool, I mean, you're an enemy to me. You really are. And that's the way I feel right now. So this whole thing has fired me up a little bit. There's no excuse for what Hulk did. Obviously, he put out the damage control statement about, this isn't who I am, and it just comes out of my mouth. I don't know why. That I don't believe that for a second. That word needs to stop being uttered for any reason. So, what a story. We're going to just take a quick break for this live show. When we come back, we'll talk about some other things, WWE, and who knows, maybe some more Hulk news will break before this show goes off the air. But you're listening to War Weekly. This is War Weekly Live. Myself and Sean Cunningham will be back after this.
MJM is a boutique audio and video powerhouse.
We write.
We edit.
We shoot.
We score. We developed a unique way of doing business that makes real collaboration with you easy from start to finish.
We're all about getting results for you.
They're never really talking in the abstract. They're talking about real things that are going to drive real results, and they've got 30, 40 years of history that proves that they can get those kind of results.
Working with MJM, we were able to get full service capabilities of writing, creative, production, and on air. MJM did a great job in providing us with creative that really worked.
We've had good productions from other agencies, but you don't get that personal touch you get from MJM.
Our process simplifies the way we work with you to dig deep for your key messages and, in the end, deliver an amazing ROI.
Video's time has come. Technology has removed the barriers, and now this powerful marketing tool is affordable for virtually all companies.
Our clients come back to us again and again.
Because they love what we do. They love the quality of our productions.
I really love to collaborate with them. I love their creativity. I love their imagination.
They're very efficient, very effective.
It's probably the best relationship we have with any of our sponsors or our vendors.
Get to know your butcher and bump into friends and neighbors at Bruno's Fine Foods. As purveyors of quality meat, fish, fresh produce, gourmet groceries, catering, gift baskets, and more, Bruno's Fine Foods is a family business with 5 Toronto area locations to serve you.
Here at Bruno's, we're trying to keep with the old traditional butcher style. Rail beef, dry aged. When you dry age, you dehydrating the beef, which does 2 things: minimizes shrinkage and increases the flavor of the beef because it doesn't have that washed out water flavor. The enzymes break down the fiber muscles in the beef, which allows it to be a lot more tender, real traditional flavor.
Yes, there really is a Bruno. Find everything he has to offer at Bruno's Fine Foods.
And we're back here on this live edition of War Weekly. We spent the first segment talking about Hulk Hogan and the termination from WWE and everything that's been going on, the National Enquirer. I got a little bit emotional there in the first segment. It's a topic that really is close to home for me right now. My wife loves to watch CNN, and I think it's like poking me with a stick right now.
That CNN's a whole other topic too.
So yeah, that's a whole other topic. So when I hear stories of any white people saying the things that Hulk said, whether on video or not, or just in the privacy of their own home, I get a little bit hot about it. So let's move on to just a bit of wrestling. Let's talk about a bit of WWE, and we'll take another break. And when we come back, I know you've seen a bit of the G1, so we can get into that. I'll give you the updated standings of where things are at, and we can look forward to this weekend. A big show coming on Sunday especially. So we'll talk about that on the episode. And just get me back in a happy place here, Sean. What did you think of WWE Battleground?
WWE Battleground was, to me, a better show than I thought it was going to be until we got to the end of it. And that's because what I want to talk about, though, largely what came out of that, crowd reaction in a place like St. Louis. They went to a wrestling city, St. Louis. Everybody knows about the history of St. Louis wrestling at the Chase and Sam Mushnick. I will say this, they treat St. Louis with respect, and everybody worked hard and hustled on that show, even the stuff that you cringed about, you worried about ahead of time turned out really well. So I'm happy to see that. As far as the end of the show, they tried to spend Monday covering their ass.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, everybody hustled. Even they opened with Randy Orton and Sheamus, and I was like, we've seen this. They've done this before. But you know what? They made that match better by admitting we've seen this, we've done it before, and having them counter everything under the sun before we got to the end where Randy went over clean in his hometown, which I'm fine with because it doesn't do any damage to either guy.
Well, and that's something they should do a lot more. You know, they've got this obsession with always beating people in their hometown or humiliating them in their own town. So anytime you can get a guy go over in his hometown, I mean, that's like the rarity. And it shouldn't be. It should be the other way. You know, it should be that on that rare occasion you have a super hot heel, then yeah, you can beat him in his hometown and get super heat. But they seem to just be like the other way. Like on a rare occasion, a babyface can win in his hometown. So yeah, I agree. But yeah, I mean, solid matches both nights and everything. Nothing to write home about.
No.
Not a fresh match.
No, and I'm not suggesting at all. I was just saying they were smart. They opened with it and moved it out of the way. But I'll give it to them. Both guys worked, and they set a standard for the night. Everybody after that worked hard too. I said, the stuff that we thought was going to be cringe, like the tag title match, was going to be like cringeworthy.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
That was a good match.
That was totally fine. Acceptable match.
Acceptable match. Cena and Owens 3. Wow. That's Cena to me is one of the most giving, and we've talked about this off air too. Cena being the most giving top guy to make stars that we've ever seen in our life. Dave Owens a lot. I originally had a problem with Cena going over. After seeing Monday, maybe I don't, because it's clearly they've changed direction slightly on us.
We'll talk about Raw in a minute. There's two sides to that coin.
Well, it's clear that they've changed direction.
Well, we won't talk about Raw yet. Let's just keep on with Battleground, then I'll give you my thoughts on that, because I agree.
Well,
I agree to a point. Let's put it that way. But let's talk about this match. I'll say this about Kevin Owens versus John Cena 3, and you're right. John Cena is very giving. He gave him literally everything you could possibly give a guy, even the F you off the top, and Owens still kicked out. With that said, great match. Kevin Owens versus John Cena 3 was a little bit worse than John Cena Kevin Owens 2.
Yeah.
Kevin Owens versus John Cena 2 was a little bit worse than Kevin Owens John Cena 1.
Also,
so I feel like each of these matches has gotten a little bit worse, and it's one of those things, man. You see a match 3 times in 3 months or in 2 months, right?
Yeah.
Is that more like it? 2 months?
2 months is more like it.
And you never want to see it again. And that's the WWE's flaw when it comes to feuds. They seem to think that when you get into a feud, you need to fight for 3 pay-per-views straight in singles matches. And then that's the end of the feud. I don't believe, and I don't subscribe to that, especially for a top angle.
No, that's the problem with it.
So yeah, they rushed through that thing. They really did bulldoze through that feud, and it was really good. And some of the best stuff you could ever see from John Cena. In fact, I would say it is the best stuff I've seen from John Cena, maybe except for the Shawn Michaels matches or something like that. Maybe the CM Punk matches, but I mean, it was up there.
Yeah, it absolutely was, and I was happy to see it. Where they go from here, well, we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that.
The other major point I wanted to cover before the minute, the women's triple threat match that was added, I guess, during the show.
Completely agreed with you on what you put out a video, didn't you?
I did.
And you sort of talked about the card, and I completely agreed with what you said about this match.
Very, very happy to see that match. The one flaw, I think, what they're going to expose with the women, and I think I said the same thing. You have these girls that have been there for a long time, the Bellas, and a lot of the girls that are on Total Divas, not all of them, but the majority, who've been there for a long time. And then you put them in the ring with Sasha Banks and Charlotte, and they get exposed. Brie Bella got exposed for not knowing how to wrestle on pay-per-view.
Oh, she stuck out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. No question about that.
To me, what you have going forward, if you're trying to change the culture of women's wrestling, and notice I'm not saying the word divas either. That's on purpose. If you're going to change the culture of women's wrestling, you're doing a darn good job very quickly early on, and hopefully WWE accepts it. The one thing I was also happy to see is the crowd got into that match.
Yeah, I mean it's not like it's been without its flaws, but I will agree with you. I mean, there were 2 Divas matches on Raw, for instance.
Yeah.
And both of them were pretty solid. There was the Divas match on the pay-per-view, which you're talking about. And yes, for as far as a women's wrestling match in WWE, that was a lot better than you're going to see. Brie Bella, I mean, I know Total Divas is a total fucking work. Everything about it.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm going to, put that disclaimer out there. I will just say I certainly hope that she's looking at this opportunity with these girls that have just been called up as an opportunity for her to learn and an opportunity for her to get better in there with better people rather than being anything like she is on Total Divas, thinking that she's the John Cena. Or I guess that's Nikki that thinks she's the John Cena of the Divas division and stuff. I just certainly hope that all of them are looking at this as an opportunity of, okay, these girls are a lot better than us. Yes, we're the veterans, quote unquote. We're the fucking Harley Race and Terry Funk of the Divas division.
Oh, God.
Well, that's how they act on the show, man.
No, I know. Just that analogy makes me sad.
But I certainly hope they're looking at it that way instead of looking at it like the way they do on Total Divas and who are these newbies and getting jealous and catty about it, which I'm sure with women, that's nothing against our female listeners, but let's face it, you get a bunch of women in a locker room and they're all competing with each other, there's going to be a lot of cattiness, so...
That's just how it works.
That may be one of the things on Total Divas that's a shoot. But anyway, yeah, I mean, she couldn't hang. She slowed down that match.
No.
She makes horrible noises in the ring. You know?
It's like watching bad female tennis or something.
And I'm all about making noise. You know, that's like the Japanese style, right? Make as much noise as you can. You want the people in the very back row to hear you.
That's right.
The problem is she sounds like a fucking squatch. Okay?
Yeah.
And, God, I mean, she's just got an awful voice. She's got an awful physique. She just was tripping over her own feet, trying hard, like you say. And you're 100% right about this whole pay-per-view. People tried hard. And wrestling has not always been that way. WWE's not always been that way. Look at the 80s. In those days, I mean, a lot of the time, those guys were just like, do as little as possible. Yeah. Fuck it. You're in Peterborough, Ontario.
Yeah.
Just get through it. Just fucking
mail it in tonight.
Walk and talk.
The big show tomorrow.
And they don't do that anymore. You go to a house show, people are working. Yeah. People work hard in WWE. And of course, Luigi Tyrone is not listening to this part of the show. He just listens to the parts where I... criticize WWE. He doesn't hear all the times I say how many things they're doing right.
Yes.
So from that
this is one of the things they did right.
Pretty much every pay-per-view you could watch from WWE. And that's the only thing I would say about you sort of labeling this show as, well, everybody worked hard. That's every single WWE show. There aren't pay-per-view. That's every single pay-per-view. There are no pay-per-views where you can watch and say, well, guys weren't really trying. They weren't really working.
Okay. Come on, you and I have seen bad pay-per-view matches.
No, but I mean, as of the recent WWE style era, I don't remember the last time I saw a show and thought, these guys aren't really working very hard.
No, sure. Okay.
I mean, Big Show and Kane can't necessarily deliver anything good, but they're still working hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Show, I guess, on a rare occasion can still pull out something kind of cool, but, I mean, everybody in WWE works hard, so that's just basically every WWE pay-per-view. The matches were fine. Nothing jumped off the page.
No, you're right.
And the Kevin Owens-John Cena was the best match of the night, and as I say, it was a great match, but a little bit less than the last one and a little bit less than the one before that.
Yeah, no, absolutely true.
You burnt that gimmick out, so...
Yeah, you burnt the match out.
Main event segment, though. I call it a segment. It was more of a segment than a match.
It wasn't a match. It was a match. Brock came out, played the Destroyer. What was it, 13 suplexes? Because the crowd was counting. And then all of a sudden the lights went out.
Man, I loved that match with John Cena at SummerSlam, but it was like the worst thing ever for Brock Lesnar. Because now his matches are all German suplex. German suplex, German suplex, German suplex, German suplex, German suplex, German suplex. I sounded like Paul Heyman there, but...
Yeah.
But that's why I would say it wasn't a match, No,
it was... No, but here's the thing. I'd be much cooler with Brock Lesnar suplexing a guy 17,000 times if just throw in some different suplexes every now and again. Change it up a bit. Variety is a good thing.
That's true. It's Suplex City. It doesn't have to be... It's not German Suplex City or, I guess, belly-to-back suplex. The German is with a bridge, so just...
That's right. Belly-to-back... Wasn't even a suplex. By the end of it, he was just throwing him. It wasn't even a suplex. Brock wasn't even going back with him. Brock just, lock the hands together and throw with the shoulders.
So Brock manhandled him.
Yeah, for, about 10 minutes.
Seth maybe took, 10% of the match?
Yeah. Yeah. It's done.
Seth got his 10% in there.
He did. At least it wasn't like the Cena match where Cena just got... Cena got next to nothing, I think, in the SummerSlam match.
There wasn't that chaotic excitement about this match, though.
Well, no, I think because by the time we got there, and I'll say this, it was being there before the show, 3/4 of the building knew it was going to happen. Mm-hmm. It was an issue of how they were going to bring Taker out. And what annoyed me is you spent 5 weeks building this match, good or bad, what you think of the build, as this is your big title, okay? And then you bring out a guy that hasn't been on TV since Mania to beat down the unbeatable monster, and he beats the crap out of him, and the champ escapes. There's no finish. There's no explanation. And they went off the air with Taker in the middle of the ring doing all his posing. And I'm just like, so you're not going to ever explain until later on or whenever you feel like it that, like, there's a DQ? Nothing? And you're going to sit there and you're going to sell, like, Taker waited a year and a half to get back at Brock at the most opportune moment? And you're going to insult the intelligence of your fan base at the same time. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't either from a lot of different standpoints. And it's kind of weird to talk about the pay-per-view because when we talk about Raw, I'm really going to praise the Brock and Undertaker stuff. It was fantastic.
No, absolutely.
But yeah, like as a story, which is what we're supposed to be doing right now, folks, because this is WWE. We make movies.
Yep.
Bad movie.
Bad movies.
Really shitty movie. Yeah. So that's all I can say about that. Because Undertaker was at WrestleMania this past year.
Yes.
Brock Lesnar was at WrestleMania this past year.
And you didn't do it.
Brock Lesnar was still a heel at WrestleMania this past year. Yep. And Undertaker just wanted to wrestle Bray Wyatt. Didn't seem to give a shit about Brock Lesnar. And Paul Heyman even brought that up. You waited, how long did he say?
469 days or something?
God, they just love their fucking numbers and they're counting, don't they?
They did. I don't get it.
I guess when you're Vince McMahon, you count a lot.
Yeah, money.
So yeah, Paul was pretty open about the fact of why are you doing it now, and then what did Taker what was his response to why he's doing it now?
Oh God, I don't even remember.
I don't think he did. I don't think he's given one, has he?
No.
So,
but
from a storyline perspective, I mean, yeah, it's got some real holes in it, and from a booking standpoint of Brock being this super hot baby, to now position him with Taker coming back, who just basically the place just went crazy for. I don't know. It's very strange. Go ahead.
Well, but here's the thing. The place went crazy for a minute, and then I noticed that by the end of this segment, by the time it was going to go off, half the crowd was booing. Whether they acknowledge that or not, I doubt it. But half the crowd in St. Louis was booing. So yeah, take that for what you will.
As far as positioning with Brock, I don't feel as though it hurts him or anything, especially after you watched Raw. I didn't feel like it had hurt his babyface momentum or anything like that. But, I mean, it was a very strange move right now to make it right now. I assume Brock is going to continue to be a babyface. I don't see any reason why not.
No.
And so it was, it was a strange ending to the pay-per-view. Most people I talked about didn't enjoy it. Didn't enjoy the end of that pay-per-view or that special event.
Or whatever they want to call it now.
And we're pretty confused as to why now. Why now? And the fact that Taker gave him a low blow. He kicked him right in the nuts.
Yeah.
So when I went off the air with that show, I thought for sure, as crazy as this sounds and as ludicrous as this sounds, that Undertaker's turning heel. Or is a heel.
Yeah, I went the same way.
So, again, I mean, I applaud not doing cookie-cutter booking. And in this sense, I guess you'd have to say this wasn't cookie-cutter booking. But, I mean, it wasn't necessarily logical booking either. I like logical booking. It doesn't have to be necessarily cookie-cutter. Just make it make sense. And I still don't understand why it took Taker so long. I still don't understand why he hasn't even referenced it until now. And as far as Raw goes, fucking amazing. I mean, that was one of the best segments on Raw in I don't know how long. I honestly don't remember the last time I saw something that was so well done in WWE in terms of attention to detail.
Well, they did 2 segments, one at the beginning and one at the top of the second hour with Brock and Taker, and those 2 pull-aparts genuinely, even for me as somebody that, I read things, I understand booking, I read all this stuff. I genuinely believed if it was only for that those two guys really want to kill each other.
Sure.
Like they genuinely want to fight.
Sure. They really presented that tension. This was two beasts that have bad blood. And I mean, the stuff like, I don't even remember, I think it was Brock actually, that, just straight up said, I'm going to kill you, which is something I had been told was banned from WWE.
No, I heard it from Taker.
Okay, sorry, it was Taker.
I heard Taker say, I'm going to kill you.
Right, I'm going to kill you. So you've taken these two part-time legends, one that was the hottest babyface and one that is always like the hottest babyface whenever he comes back, and you put them in a program for SummerSlam. My fear now is how many weeks do we have left, Sean? You're the counter of this show. 5 weeks.
I believe, they said 5 weeks, so I'm guessing, and now, at this point, we're at 4.
This was week 1.
This was week 1.
That doesn't scare you a little bit? Because week 1 was fucking awesome. Did you hear that, Luigi? Did you hear that, Luigi Tyrone? This week, Undertaker Brock Lesnar segment from Monday Night Raw was fucking awesome.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Because there were multiple.
Right, yeah, everything. Like that whole thing, everything involving Brock and Taker from that night was awesome.
Okay, but here's the thing. Now what you're going to see probably this weekend, next week, you're not going to see Brock Lesnar. You're not going to see The Undertaker. You're going to see video of that pull apart over and over and over again.
Right, but that's not the problem. That's not where they're going to screw up. I think you may have misunderstood what I was saying. The fear is not that those guys aren't going to be there anymore. That's the good part, because as long as they're in the building, there's that potential to screw it up.
Yep, totally agree.
So I don't know if you can keep them off for 5 weeks. I wouldn't do that necessarily, but I would be very selective about what I do with them when they come back, because that was week 1. It was awesome, but you still got 5 weeks. Who the hell wants to see a contract signing?
Well, we're going to see that probably at week 4.
Why?
To fill time.
Because that's what they do.
Yep.
They can never think of any other. Who likes watching contract signings? These guys already had a contract signing where Taker stabbed him in the hand. Right?
Yeah. You're not going to go any bigger than that.
With something as amazing as what happened on Raw, where do you go from here? And that's something I'd be interested in knowing from the listeners. I mean, what do you guys have for ideas? Where do we go from here so that we're at a peak when it comes to SummerSlam? Or how do we keep this thing rolling at the same momentum it was at on night 1? That's a really hard thing to do.
I don't know how you do that. I really don't. The only thing I can think of is Paul Heyman taking a choke slam or tombstone before we get to Brooklyn.
Because really, that was a week 4 thing.
Yeah.
That was the week 4 thing. And then the go-home show, you have the footage of it. Or the pull part. Or even you could have had that on the go-home show. Either one. But, I mean, that was not necessarily something for week 1. I mean, and again, people can say, well, don't worry about it. They'll figure it out. But it's WWE, and they don't necessarily have the best track record for this kind of stuff. They started a lot of things well.
They don't figure it out properly is what they don't do.
Because there's too much changing. There's too much week-to-week shuffling, for them to properly be like, let's have this build, and then...
But I'm hoping, with the way this is being treated, however, that... Because to me, this almost feels very much like a WrestleMania booking period, where they know where they're going, they know what they want to do, and they don't want to touch it.
Yeah, they figured this one out. They figured this one out.
At least with this match.
Mm-hmm. And it will be the main event of this show.
Absolutely.
I don't see John Cena and Seth Rollins closing out the show, even though it's the two champions.
No,
somebody's been watching Ring of Honor. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Somebody's been watching Ring of Honor, not just because of this, but because they booked Jushin Liger, which is amazing. They booked Jushin Liger at NXT to come in and face Tyler Breeze. So somebody saw that Dalton Castle match. That's all I'm going to say. But that's cool. They're on Destination America now. People get to see them that didn't get to see them before. And somebody in the booking team pitched this idea to Vince McMahon, who has no idea what Ring of Honor is other than, it's that company my son-in-law wants to kill. But what do you think of the idea of the U.S. champ now going on to face Seth Rollins?
I'm fine with it because I'm pretty sure that by the time we get to Brooklyn, John Cena's not going to be the U.S. champion anymore.
Okay, all right. Well, who would be the champion by then?
I don't know, but I tend to think that Kevin Owens somehow will be involved in Cena losing the belt to somebody.
Kevin Owens.
Before we get there.
You mean the jabroni that was in the pull apart this week, right?
Not that. Yeah, that's jabroni.
That's
really?
Jabroni, yeah.
That jabroni was pulling the Undertaker and Brock Lesnar apart.
Yeah, and that's no coincidence. So
no, I know.
So yes, Kevin Owens has been demoted. He is now.
Yeah.
He's no longer protected. Let's put it that way. Look at the people that were out there.
Yeah.
Look at the ones that weren't.
Well, no, but understand, there were very few people. By the time they did the second pull apart at 9 o'clock, there was very few people who weren't out there. Maybe
Randy Orton. John Cena. Sheamus.
That's about it.
Seth Rollins. Dean Ambrose. Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
Is that not a big enough list for you? That's not a list?
That's a list.
Okay.
That's a list.
And Kevin Owens is not on that list.
No, Kevin Owens. I'm not saying that Kevin Owens should be protected forever either.
He looks so fucking ridiculous. What does that character give a fuck about Brock Lesnar and John Cena fighting? They killed his character in one night.
No, I know.
So
I'm not disputing your point. I'm not here to argue with you. I agree with you. However, that being said, I just think I have a feeling that John Cena may have pulled some political strings to get his title match, and I think they're cold on Seth because in their mind Seth is not drawn as champion or something like that, and I think they're getting cold and they're going to go back to Cena for a run, and also because I think they're worried about losing him too, referring to Cena.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's some other issues. There's some real legitimate movie opportunities for John Cena. And it's almost like we might want to give him one more run before we lose him for a long time.
I wouldn't say that he used his political stroke to cash in a title match, but anyway, who knows? But yeah, I mean, I hear you. And if they did, it wouldn't be the worst thing because Seth as a champion has been kind of the shits. Sorry.
Yeah, I like Seth as a wrestler, but
me too. As a top heel world champion, I could take him or leave him.
Yeah, it's not that part's not working, and I don't think it's worked at all.
So let's go back to Cena.
Yep, whenever they get worried.
Yeah. So again, this is why, folks, I don't jump up and down for this Kevin Owens John Cena match number 3.
No,
now John Cena's in the World Championship picture. And I actually don't agree with you. I don't think he's going to lose that title. I think it's going to be champion versus champion. I think that's pretty much what the whole angle is that this belt means more than yours. And, the only reason people care about this belt is because I go out there and I, fight, defend it. And that's why they respect this belt and they don't respect yours. I think that is the story. So I've heard other people too. Don't worry. I've heard other people also say they figure that John will lose it before then. But I think that's actually the whole story of the match is those two champions colliding. And now Kevin Owens is being pushed down. So this run is now over. He's going to be working with Cesaro, another guy in that same purgatory. Oh, great match. Great match.
Yeah, I was going to say it was a good match.
So if you're Mr. Brightside, then you're doing a good job by saying good match.
Exactly.
To me, I'm kind of just like, can we start to push somebody?
Yeah, I agree with you.
Or does it just have to be John Cena, Randy Orton, Sheamus?
No, and that's where I have a problem too. Everybody's talking about this. John Cena and Randy Orton and Sheamus have been there, done that over and over and over again. And not to knock John Cena because John Cena makes money. Randy Orton, you never just telling me that he made money as champion.
Mm-hmm.
That he was a star.
I don't doubt it. When you go to the house shows, he is like one of the most over guys. That's how you really gauge how over Randy Orton is when you go to the house shows where there isn't TV cameras rolling. And I mean, he's way more popular than I think anyone really realizes. With that said, him as the world champion or him as top guy has failed many times as well. From a creative standpoint, it's just not an interesting choice.
No. And then you have Sheamus, who's pretty well guaranteed a title run because he's got a briefcase.
And I don't know why.
No, nobody knows why.
It's nothing against him. I don't understand why. I guess when you work out with Triple H, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Us and our conspiracy theories. You're saying John Cena used this political stroke, and I'm saying that Sheamus has been cuddling up to Triple H.
Yeah.
But,
well, no, I'm not so much saying he's used a political stroke as much as John Cena has openly talked about being done with wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at, he was most recently in the Amy Schumer movie Trainwreck that did very, very well as a male comedic lead, and everybody's raving about him. And he's went off and shot a movie with Amy Poehler and Tina Fey that's going to release around Christmas time as a male lead. So these are not WWE projects, guys. So we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens, and I guarantee you they won't have anyone ready.
No.
he'll break the news to them, and they'll be like, "Oh fuck," and then they'll think, "What about Roman Reigns? What can we do with?" It's like you've been fucking the dog on Roman Reigns, so don't even think about rehabbing him.
No. That's the thing. They won't have anybody ready next year.
Who's it gonna be? Who is it gonna be? And when I hear Daniel Bryan's hoping to come back in time for next year's Royal Rumble, I'm like, please no. Please don't come back before the Royal Rumble again. That was how this whole thing started. Because you know what they're going to do? They're going to find somebody that they want to run with. Okay, so the Roman Reigns thing didn't work out. And then they're going to find somebody else. They're going to have them in place. And they're going to bring Daniel Bryan back for the Royal Rumble. And the crowd's going to do it again.
Yep.
So please, Brian, for the sake of the roster.
Either don't come back until Mania, or come back sooner so they can put you in the spot.
Come back after. That's all I'm going to say. Come back after the Rumble just to avoid confusion this year.
Yes, agreed. Yeah.
Don't even leave people tempted with the idea that you might be number 30 or anything. Don't do it. Shut it down, please.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you as well. The other thing, and I probably should have mentioned when we were talking about the interview, but what did you think of Luke Harper coming back to Bray Wyatt?
They should have never broken them up.
No.
You know? So
not at all.
So yeah, they're kind of correcting their mistakes there. All three of those guys, none of them have been as over as they were when they were a unit.
Nope. So
brilliant ideas there. I've heard the Shield may be reuniting in some way this summer.
Or a version of it. The story that I read is very interesting.
What's that?
Well, there's rumors of a 6-man match at SummerSlam.
Oh, you're talking about Sting?
Yeah. It's not going to be Seth and Dean and Roman. It's going to be Roman, Dean, and Sting.
Right, but I've been hearing that there is talk of reuniting the Shield sometime this summer. Because Seth is going to be a babyface by the time this summer is over, I would think.
Yeah, I would believe that. So I imagine by the time we get to Survivor Series or before, we're going to see the Shield together.
But yeah, I mean, that kind of is a good, a good crossover to what I was saying about Roman Reigns. Now they're going to put him with Sting.
Yeah.
Thinking that that's going to be the rub, but to me, Sting is like so much more charismatic than Roman. I guess that can still be a rub, but it can also be the kind of thing that makes you seem like sort of the vanilla sidekick.
Well, then they tried that at Royal Rumble with Rock, and that failed too.
That's what I mean, yeah. But the idea of Sting coming back and being involved as a tag partner of Roman. You're hearing a 6-man with Dean too, eh? Okay.
Yep. So the Wyatts get one more member. We're going to assume it's Eric Rowan.
Mm-hmm.
All that hasn't happened yet.
And he's hurt. He's hurt.
Yeah. So it may not be. It may be somebody else.
Right. And that's what I've been hearing is that they may be adding a third person, but there's going to have to be somebody else. Just put Kevin Owens in it. Fuck, who cares? Give him a new makeover. I thought that's how he was going to be debuted anyway.
With Bray?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not?
It's an interesting choice. It's an interesting choice.
They could kidnap him. He could come back as their fucking guy. They've already stripped his character away this past week, so.
They did. Well, can you answer me a question? I watched and they did an awesome segment, top of R1, awesome segment, top of R2, with Taker and Brock. Why did you line up the show with a 6-man blowaway where you killed Rusev at the main event?
You're asking me?
Yes.
Rusev has been hilarious. That's all I can say about that. I don't really have any other thoughts about that. Rusev has been the savior of that entire angle.
Yes, but why did you put that out last?
Well, you see, Sean, there's this very intricate booking plan that we have. It's going to accumulate, or it's going to culminate at WrestleMania this year, and we're just starting to build for it right now. I don't fucking know, because they got 3 hours of Raw to fill.
Okay, but answer me. Why did you not put Brock and Taker out at the end?
Good question.
The pull apart brawl at the end of the show.
Maybe they had to get them out early.
I'm wondering. Yeah, I wondered about that.
You know, I would say Hulk Hogan. I would say Hulk Hogan style from the '80s, but I don't think we should use.
Yeah, you don't want to say that right
as a comparison right now for anything.
No, don't do that.
No,
that's not good.
No,
that's not good.
We're not going to see him. We're not going to see him for quite some time. But
no.
As far as Raw, yeah, it was a really good episode. Honestly, it was. It had a lot of good stuff. Obviously, there's a lot of changes I would love to see, but I'm just not seeing them. But whatever. I mean, it's fine to just enjoy a wrestling show. It really is. If that's all if that's all people care about, go for it and enjoy it. For me, I keep on looking at where are the stars? Where are the stars? And you know where the stars are? They're at home, and then they come in, and they work a match, and then they go back home. That's where the stars are. And John Cena, he's the one guy that's there. That's your star.
No, I agree.
You got 3 stars. You got Undertaker, you got Brock, you got Cena. Show me one other person in that company that is a real star.
You don't have it.
You don't have it.
No, and that's the problem.
Your own fault, though.
No,
you've had a bunch of guys that could have been. Ambrose should be a star by now.
100% agreed.
Reigns should be a star right now. Even Seth, as much as I can say he's not been lighting my world on fire as top heel Ric Flair world champion, he should be a star right now. They should have found ways to make these guys superstars by now. They haven't handled them that way. There's going to come a time when they're going to say, fuck, we need stars. And then they're going to have to start trying with these guys. But they're already going to be damaged goods. The talent is there to pull yourself out of the hole. With Kevin Owens, everything was going so well. You really had somebody very dynamic in there. You had somebody that I felt that they could do a lot of different things with. And just in one night, he's now jabroni in there with the rest of the jabronis, pulling apart John Cena, or pulling apart Brock and Undertaker. Why he cares about them fighting? Oh, no, guys, don't fight. I'm Kevin Owens. Fight, but don't fight.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it would have been better. No, here's what they should have done. You want to save Kevin Owens? Kevin Owens should have been out there in the pull apart, got as close to either one of them and sucker punched them.
Yes. But then that would cloud the whole storyline of Brock and Taker. So.
No, I know, but or gone out, and if you want to make him a babyface, go out and have him sucker punch Bray Wyatt. I don't know. Do something.
That was a Vince McMahon call. And
yeah, I know.
Vince McMahon is the one pumping the brakes on Kevin Owens. So everybody, just be sure to check out his career from now on. And I'm not saying it's going to go in the toilet and he's going to start going on a losing spree, but he's going to be in that mid-card mix with everything.
It's either going to be in that mid-card or they're going to send him back. We're not going to see him for a month. He's going to go back to NXT and do the match there.
I don't even know. Balor. Yeah, that's the other thing. He's going to go.
That's still booked.
He's going to lose to Finn Balor. I mean, he's going to lose again. So, man, oh man, Kevin Owens has fallen, and that's too bad. I thought there was a lot more they could do with him. In a matter of weeks, the guy became pretty much the hottest heel in the company.
Yeah, and they just don't know what to do with it.
And he wasn't their guy. Same old story.
Well, here's the thing. You've had 6 or 7 guys in the last 2 years that you should have made stars, that the fans clearly want, and you don't want to pull the trigger, and I don't see why. I don't on every single one of them.
Every time that this happens, I get the same feeling. I'm just like, what is he waiting for? Who does he think is walking through that door that's going to be a better option?
Yeah.
You know, it really is like, it's actually like somewhat mentally ill when I start thinking about it, because I start thinking he's passed up guys now for 10 years. Oh, he's too small. Oh, he's too this. Oh, he's got a beard. Oh, he's too fat. It's just like, well, then choose somebody. You had Roman Reigns. That was going to be your guy. You should have handled him better. You should have positioned him better. You should have brought out his real personality, because he has a good personality. You should have found a way to make him a star, not constantly positioned him in shitty matches with Big Show, in shitty matches with Kane, and then having him go into the Royal Rumble and win when everybody clearly wanted someone else to win. These are all just absolutely just cardinal sins that he's made in terms of build. So I'm not just sitting here saying push the ROH guys, push Punk, push Bryan, push Kevin Owens. I'm a smart mark. No, push fucking anybody, Vince.
Yep.
Okay? It's 2015 now. How long has this been going on? Can we push somebody? Can we say, this person's good enough? We're going to push them and we're really going to protect them. Nope, they can't.
Well, but here's the issue. You had any of the members of the Shield. Those are their guys. All three of them. Their guys. Yes, all their guys. Bray Wyatt is their guy. Bray Wyatt could have been a star. Period. End of story. Whether you want to admit ROH, go Kevin Steen, Daniel Bryan, Cesaro.
Any one of them.
Any one of those guys. Even going back, let's go back a little further. They've pulled the carpet out from under him. Dolph Ziggler, you could have done it.
Could have done it.
You seriously could have done it. They're guys.
Yeah.
You want to go, we don't want to push ROH guys. Then don't. But you had 5 guys of your own that you could have made, and you didn't do it. Now you're sitting on Kevin Owens. You clearly don't know what to do. I'm scared of what they're going to do with Devitt Balor when he gets there.
Same here. And I mean, I've talked about all the things that are in his favor. His physique. He's a good-looking guy. Obviously, very intense in the ring with all the Japanese training. An Irishman. Vince is also Irish. He's got those abs. There's a lot of things working in his favor, but he's not a big guy.
No.
And that's sometimes all it takes is for him to not be a big guy. And you're right. I'm worried about seeing him in that position too. I just think it's crazy that Owens was brought in and it was such great TV and he did such great stuff and I heard nothing but praise for him. And then he has this program with Cena, and on the last time we were on a show together a couple weeks ago, I said, Sean, yeah, it's going to be a great match, but where does Kevin Owens go from here?
Yeah, we didn't have an answer.
And then you didn't have an answer, and then you were like, yeah, you're right. No, he's probably going to go down from here. And now he's going down. He could go up again, but again, like when you put guys in the mid-card and you just keep on pushing them down, he could easily become a comedy figure. Like,
oh, let's hope so.
Anything can happen once you're in that position where the Shield is down, pardon the pun, where the Shield has been removed and now you're not being protected. You can go anywhere. You can go completely to the very, 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 very bottom. Hopefully that doesn't happen with Kevin Owens. Let's say that he's got a lot more talent than a lot of the guys that's happened to. But we're going to just take one more break. When we come back, we're going to talk a bit about the G1. I know you've seen some of the matches, Sean.
I did.
Big weekend coming. A big show on Sunday from Hiroshima. We got shows every day, but I mean, that's going to be one of the big ones on paper anyway from Hiroshima. So we'll talk about that when we come back. Just going to take one more break. You're listening to War Weekly Live, and we will be back in just a few minutes to talk about more.
O'Grady's Grill and Bar, combining delicious American food with Irish warmth and hospitality. There's always an O'Grady to welcome you. O'Grady's incorporates the freshest ingredients into signature dishes like braised lamb shepherd's pie, fish and chips, hand-cut steaks, and the best burgers in Stowe. Enjoy O'Grady's cozy full-service bar featuring 14 beers on tap and specialty cocktails. O'Grady's is the perfect place for après-ski or dinner for the family.
At Sperdicchio Law Office, we are dedicated to achieving results for each and every one of our clients. Your rights are our first priority. Call a law firm you can trust and ask for your free 30-minute consultation. Call 647-607-7LAW. That's 647-607-7529. Call us today.
Talk about more. And we're back for the final segment of the show, War Weekly Live, myself and Sean Cunningham. We talked about Hulk Hogan and that whole shitstorm that is going on right now as we speak, and we'll keep you guys updated with everything. If there's any developments, we'll let you know. But for right now, it seems like, it's all pretty much, we've gotten all the information that's out at this moment. We talked about the WWE, we talked about Battleground, which again was a solid show. Had one really good match on it. Had a perplexing finish to the show, but then they followed it up with a good episode of Raw. Really good stuff from Taker and Brock. Really good stuff. Let me really just put that over, because that was fantastic. I mean, the announcers taking off as soon as Brock got there, all those little details all the little holes that they filled that they are not necessarily known for filling these days. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. There was no stone left unturned.
Exactly. It really seemed like there was a lot of thought put into it, and they really thought about it from all angles, and that's something that I applaud, because WWE is not always doing that. But anyways, let's talk quickly, because we are in G1 season right now.
We are.
We're doing it our own way. I've been pretty much getting up for all the shows live and watching them live, just to get them out of the way. That's one of the reasons I like to do that, just so I don't have anything hanging over me. And you've been busy, but you've been still at your own pace going through things, and I know that you have seen night one. And I think what we really need to talk about from night one, I think, would be the two main events, the semi and the main. And I know you've seen both of those matches.
I did.
And then we can talk about the current standings, where things are right now as of July the 24th. And then from there, we can talk about what's coming up this weekend. So anyways, the two main events from the show, the way that they're doing this, format-wise, is that for any New Japan show, there's an intermission. And it usually breaks up. You'll have one really good match, and then you'll have an intermission, just to let people chill out, go stretch, go have a smoke. It's a big thing in Japan, have a smoke.
Yeah.
And then you're all refreshed, and you can come back, and you can lose your mind again. They don't... They like to give you a few minutes to think about what you've seen.
Yeah.
And so the format has been that the first half of the show is all multi-man matches. And it's matches involving the block that's not competing in G1 action that night. So, for instance, there was a show this morning, and the first half was all B-block guys in multi-man matches, and also preliminary talent, some of the juniors and some of the other people. And they have the first half of the show, and they have multi-man matches. And they do little things to keep angles building for matches coming up in the G1, stuff like that. And then there's the intermission, and then they have 5 G1 matches. So from the first night, matches included Doc Gallows versus Tenzon. Now, that's not a good match on paper. It wasn't a very good match to watch. Tenzon is way past his prime, but still trying. Like you say with the WWE shows, he's working hard. He just can't pull out the match. Doc, same thing. He works hard, not really known for his catalog of classic matches.
No.
So they went in there, and Doc tapped in his first G1 match to Tenzon with the Anaconda device. So that was the very first G1 match. Not exactly starting off with the splash, but, I mean, again, you've got a bunch of shows coming for an entire month with 5 matches from the G1 on every single one. So there's going to be certain matches that aren't necessarily that hot, and that was one of the matchups that wasn't. We also, on that card, we had Togi Makabe take on Toriano. Anytime Toriano's in there, it's fun. It's entertaining. But you pretty much know what you're going to get.
Yep, it's a shtick.
It's a shtick.
Unfortunately.
It's a shtick match. Now, this was kind of fun because he was fighting this really badass, strong style, mash him up kind of guy. So that's kind of a fun chemistry there between the comedy guy that's trying to do everything in the book to be a weasel, to try to do everything in the book to try to pull out a cheap win. And then you have this guy that's got the scars on his head and the chains, and he's coming and he's going to smash this guy up. So they had their little match. It was pretty much what you would expect from those two. And King Kong knee drop from Makabe. Makabe 2 points as well. So now we have Tenzon 2 points, Makabe 2 points. 2 points for a win. Again, 1 point for a draw, 0 points for a loss. So these were A-block matches. And then after that, we had Naito take on Fale. So you've now had 3 matches that are not particularly great to start the G1. This match was flat out bad.
Yeah.
Fale, and it was all Fale. We know that. Naito's incredible, but even Naito couldn't pull this one off. And Naito doing his whole... this is one thing, and I don't know... Again, you're watching this sometimes out of context, but with Naito, this is a cool heel turn because he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything other than just one day he started acting like a dick.
Yeah.
It wasn't one of these things where he had this big turn and he beat up his partner or anything like that. It was just one day he just started acting like an asshole. And that's been the heel turn. And it's really interesting to see, especially from the show this morning. You don't hear boos in New Japan, but they're booing Naito out of the building. He's getting heat. and he plays a great dick. And so you had this guy that kind of went overnight from this baby face, smiling and kissing babies, to all of a sudden one day he's just acting like a prick. And I just think it's a cool heel turn. But anyway, this match was not good. Fale has got a long month ahead of him. And Naito ended up winning with a very sloppy jackknife. Did not look good at all. And that was this match. So Naito picks up 2 points from night one as well. Now we're into the main events. Katsuyori Shibata versus AJ Styles was the semi-main on paper. Two very interesting, contrasting styles. And, you've got Shibata, who's the scariest striker in New Japan. He's also, got the wrestling skills and the submission skills. And then you have AJ Styles. And it was a fun match from the standpoint of, God, when AJ woke up that morning, he must have been thinking, I don't want to go to work today. I got kicked in the face by Katsuyori Shibata. But, Sean, you saw this match, and what did you think of it?
It was one of the stiffest, hardest, most intense things I think I've watched in a very long time. Those two guys hit each other hard.
AJ didn't back up at all.
No, AJ sells like $1 million. Can I just make that point? AJ, whether he was or not, genuinely looked like he was hurting watching him take shots from Shibata. It was like I cringed a few times.
You almost got to think maybe AJ's too good at selling because he's supposed to be like top heel, and the fans love watching him. Like it's like an event when he wrestles, in a singles match. And I got to put a lot of that. Obviously, his work and his offense and everything's so great. But I mean, you're right. The selling, you can't help but feel sympathy for the guy. He's so good at it. The one thing too that needs to be said about AJ, and the New Japan run has really, really shown this. The knock on AJ was always that just the personality wasn't there. The wrestling was there. The timing was there. He could have 5-star matches with pretty much anybody. But the personality just wasn't there. And this New Japan run has filled that gap.
Oh, absolutely.
I just watched that match pretty much with my mouth open of just like, not of the in-ring wrestling, because we all know how good he is, but just at how much personality he has now and how good of a heel he is. Like, he really tries hard to make sure these people boo him. And they don't, but at the same time, if he was in America, I think they probably would,
Oh, they'd hate him.
And I have heard that WWE has changed their tune regarding AJ Styles. It's a little late.
I wonder why.
It's a little late for that.
I think so.
They had turned down an offer I guess they did give him an offer, but it was like a super lowball, insulting, go fuck yourself offer.
Yeah.
And then he went and he wrestled in the G1 last year, and I'm pretty sure sometime after that they all kicked themselves in the nuts. But I mean, AJ's just a complete performer now. He really is.
Yeah, he is.
And to see him in front of these big crowds, because like I said on the last show, I mean, it's one thing to be tearing it up in the Impact Zone in front of the same people every week. It's another thing to be tearing it up in front of 19,000, 30,000, 50,000.
Night after night after night after night after night.
Right. In the biggest spot, in the main event, as the world champion. That's a whole other level of pressure. That's a whole other level of, can you rise to the occasion? And he's proven it at 37 or 38, whatever he is, that he can more than rise to the occasion. And he's still got to be one of my favorite guys in the game to watch right now, even at this stage of his career.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing is and both guys took a beating in that match. AJ went over, and they sold the Styles Clash again like it was gonna kill him because I'm gonna mess the pronunciation up on his opponent.
Yeah, Katsuyori Shibata. All we got to know him as Shibata.
Shibata laid there for a good 3 minutes.
Oh yeah,
after AJ left.
He did a great job of selling that. And like you say, I mean, it was a stiff match. It was a cool contrast to styles, almost like the old world versus the new world in a lot of ways. Because Shibata's a real throwback, with the black tights and everything, and just his style. It's just very much like an Akira Maeda or somebody like that from the early days of Japanese wrestling against AJ. And yeah, a fantastic physical match which ended in the Styles Clash. The way that the Japanese crowds react to the Styles Clash is just awesome. It just creates such an amazing atmosphere to hear them ooh and ah every time he gets even in the position for that match or for that move.
Yeah.
So AJ picks up the 2 on that particular match, his first G1 match on night one. And then the main event, Tanahashi versus Kota Ibushi. I mean, this is one of the great things about the G1, and this is one of the things you don't see in WWE a lot. Kota and Tanahashi are kind of like the same character in a lot of ways. I mean, Tanahashi much more flamboyant, much more charismatic in that way, but they're these super squeaky clean baby faces. And New Japan, when they do the G1, they have everybody against everybody. So you may be having a match with a guy in your own faction. You may be having a match against, top babyface versus second babyface, two guys that always team together. So you have all these cool dynamics, and this is one of them. And what I love about Tanahashi is that when he gets in there, he can read that crowd. And if he feels like it might be 70-30, or sorry, is that right? 70-30? Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
I was like, did I just actually get my math right?
No, your math is good.
He might have read during the beginning of that match that it was 70-30 for Kota Ibushi, and that was all he needed to be like, okay, I'm going to play a bit of a subtle heel tonight.
Yeah.
I'm going to get in there, and when it's time to do a clean break, I'm going to slap him across the face. Because that's the best thing for the match.
Yeah.
And you have that freedom in Japan to listen to the crowd and to kind of like do the old style of wrestling where they may not have even had a lot planned out. Just let's go in there and we'll read the crowd, and whatever they're going with, we'll kind of adjust to it.
Good.
So these two had a fantastic match. What do you think?
Absolutely crazy. They basically tried to... The psychology was crazy. Like you said, the subtle heel was perfect.
Tanahashi trying to take out that leg, trying to ground the flyer.
And they did the leg story the whole match. And it ended with them basically trying to kick the living hell out of each other. I don't even know how to describe it. And just the quick finish just made that match even better, I felt, to get the quick pin that way after they had basically beaten each other senseless.
Mm-hmm. And you know what I liked about it? It was the opposite of John Cena, Kevin Owens from Sunday, which had every finish in the book 6 or 7 times and kick out of every one, and that's the near falls. This match was the opposite. Neither guy hit their finish until the end when Tanahashi hit the high fly flow. There was no kick out of a high fly flow. There was no even connection of the Phoenix Splash.
No.
When Tanahashi hit that high fly flow, it was over. But I thought again... Go ahead, sorry.
And the crowd responded properly when they saw the high fly flow. That to me is best part. American crowds don't do that anymore.
No, they know. They know. And it's not like every New Japan match is that way. They certainly have the matches where the guys kick out of finishes, but I like that they don't always do it. And Ibushi has been on the cusp of being a top guy. And he's somebody that people who are experts in Japanese wrestling and in New Japan in particular, they have him in that top bracket of guys that could win this thing. So he's somebody
absolutely.
He's the project this year. He's the guy that they want to try to build. But his first G1 match, he did not get the win. He did end up being falling in defeat to Tanahashi. And this was like Tanahashi 2011. Tanahashi's body is destroyed. His neck is ravaged. And you would never know it watching that match. He took all kinds of stuff. That German, man. That German that Kota Ibushi does, where he pulls him up off the apron from the outside and brings him backwards into the ring with a German. That's on a guy with a bad neck. But Tana was out there just being like old Tana and just giving it his all.
Why do you take that move?
Why? Because, I guess because of pride. Well, I don't know. I got to be honest. I don't know. And Tanahashi has the stroke to say "fuck off" with that shit. He's got it. If he doesn't want to do a move in a match, he can not. But obviously, he's a guy that's just giving it his all, and he did in this match. And Kota does not get the win. Kota falls in defeat to Tanahashi, so Tana gets the 2. So that was night 1. I won't take you through everything else that's happened. Night 2 was more of a house show, and that's what people need to remember about the G1. It's not just a tournament; it's a tour. So that means the tour schedule is pretty much the same. It's multiplied. It's much bigger. You have a lot more dates in a G1 month, but there's still house shows. It's just that the house shows have something on them of consequence. So they've been basically televising these in-between shows, the house shows, and they did that. The biggest thing to come out of night 2 to me, this is again something that's really cool about the G1, is that the main event was Carl Anderson versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Shinsuke is the hottest guy really in New Japan right now. Although after night 1, you could almost say Tanahashi is again. Like he felt like that post-match celebration and all the towels and everything. What do you make of that? About the whole people give his towel and he wipes his sweat off and then he gives it to them and they're just so happy. You could never pull that off here, could you?
No, because it'd be on eBay being sold after.
I just thought more people would be like, ew, don't give me a sweaty towel. But there, that's what they want. They hand you the towel. They want you to put your sweat on.
It's honor there.
It's honor there. There's nobody in WWE that's a superstar treated like one, and from the crowd too, especially after that night, like Tanahashi.
No.
Nobody.
No.
There's nobody as a worker that can touch him right now in WWE. So that's why if people want to know why I favor New Japan, I mean, I just got to call it like it is. I mean, a lot of the WWE problems are booking and are, things not involving the talent. But if I have to call a spade, there's nobody in the company that touches Tanahashi. He's like a Ricky the Dragon Steamboat level worker. He's one of those guys. He's one of those special elite. But Nakamura, he's like the hottest guy right now. He's like the guy that's the cool factor. He's on the shows and he's in the music videos and he's this and he's that. And they put him in there in the main event with Carl Anderson. And Carl, he's had his little brushes with being a singles top guy and stuff, but he's never really been a top guy. And he's a tag team champion right now with Doc Gallows. And it's not like they're not part of a hot act, but they're not focal points of the company at all. They go in there, and it's their first match in the tournament, and clean in the middle, Carl Anderson beats Shinsuke Nakamura with his finish. And it's just one of those things of G1. You never know what's going to happen. So I thought that was really clever that they, everybody pretty much expected that Shinsuke is going to win this tournament. He is the favorite. He's the one that it makes sense for him to come and be in the main event spot and to win the world title. But in his first match in the G1, they start him off with a loss against, of all people, fucking Carl Anderson. So you really do have to pay attention to these matches. You can't just turn it off and be like, I know what's going to happen here. You really don't.
They don't do that in New Japan.
Especially not with the G1. So that's one of the really cool things. As far as today, earlier today there was a show, and it was another one of the house shows. A little more produced, this one actually. So I'm thinking this is probably how they're going to go from now with these house shows, because that first one was just like 2 or 3 camera angles. This one had like close-ups and a handheld and everything, but no commentary. So Luigi, this might be the show for you.
Yes.
Because there was no commentary on these house shows, but some really good wrestling. A match with Tanahashi and Tenzan actually were the main event. I know a lot of people will be like, ooh, Tenzan, how did he do? He actually did really good. It was actually a very, very good match. Really heated crowd, really heated match. Tana obviously got the win there over Tenzan, although I think a lot of people felt like Tenzan could have pulled out the upset, and you can't rule that out. But yeah, there was a match with Naito against Shibata that was extremely good. And I think everybody finally knows who the War Insider is. It's Tetsuya Naito. So all these years we've kind of trying to been hiding it, but I guess now he's ready to come out and expose himself as the War Insider. So Naito got beat actually by Shibata. So Shibata picking up his first win, his first 2 points in the tournament. Tanahashi now at 4. I'll read the entire standings in just a second, but there was a match against AJ Styles and Toru Yano, and I just sort of said all Yano matches are the same. This one was the same, but it was really fun and really good. There's a hilarious spot, and this goes back to the, AJ's personality. And when you watch this, Sean, you will, even though I've told you, you're going to just pop so huge.
Yeah.
AJ's doing something, and he sort of got Yano down on one knee. And some guy in the crowd yells, "Hey, AJ, John Cena!" And AJ looks at him, hits the ropes, super lightning quick, and comes back with a drop kick on Toru Yano. And then he goes over on the ropes by that side where that fan was, and he say, "Let's see John Cena do that. He can't move that fast." The whole place just cracks up laughing. Like, it was just those little things that happen, the interaction with the fans where you can actually hear them. And the wrestlers aren't afraid to bring them into the show. So watch that and look for the part where he says that. But this was really fun. And they've done things with Toru Yano in the past where he's pulled out the sneaky win. With Tanahashi in the New Japan Cup even. He did the thing where in 3 minutes he pulls Tanahashi's hair and he rolls him up in a schoolboy 1, 2, 3. So they've done that. When you do that once, that means that you can't rule out the idea of it happening again. So there was a point in this match, even though AJ is like the man there, in like top 3, 4 in the entire company, there was a spot where he did that roll up and you hear the whole crowd go, "Oh!" Because they really believe for that second, oh my God, Yano's going to beat AJ.
Yeah.
So again, it was a fun match there. And coming up this weekend, on Sunday especially, we got a show coming up tomorrow, Saturday, with Yuji Nagata versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I believe that's the main event. So that is going to be a really, really great match.
Oh.
I love seeing Yuji Nagata. He's another one of these guys that's should be way past his prime, but just is the anti-aging hero, and he hasn't got the memo that he's not supposed to be wrestling this well at 50 or however old he is.
Yeah.
Shinsuke is Shinsuke. He's great in the ring. He's just as entertaining, as charismatic as anybody in probably in the entire wrestling business right now. Would you say that, Sean? Because I know that's what a lot of people say. Would you say at least Shinsuke is maybe not the most, but as charismatic as anybody in the game physically?
Oh, absolutely. Totally.
So that's just going to be fun because, they can both go. Yuji's got the demon armbar where he rolls his eyes back in his head. Everybody loves that.
Very Undertaker-like.
Yeah. And the crowd reacts like his eyes are actually like burning fire and he's got like smoke coming out of his nose when he does that.
Something out of a Japanese video game.
Yeah. So that's going to be fun. And then on Sunday morning, listen to this. Listen to the semi and the main of Sunday morning from Hiroshima. Tetsuya Naito versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. That's semi-main. Those guys have been tag partners for a long time, but now Naito, as I say, overnight decided he's a dick. And the main event, Kota Ibushi versus AJ Styles. We're in for some wrestling this weekend, folks.
Oh, boy.
Now, just before we get out, Sean, we've gone about an hour and 30 minutes on this live special. But we're gonna just run down the standings right now of the G1, and then we'll get out of here, man. But thanks a lot for spending time with us, with me and us, out there listening.
Lots of fun things today.
Oh, God, yeah. The Hogan stuff, man, is just... I never thought I'd see this day where this guy has fallen. I mean, in just one day, this guy has fallen so far to the point where I don't even know if he can come back. Because I don't think anyone in Hollywood or entertainment would touch him right now.
No.
TNA may touch him, but how, as they say, like, how can you afford Hogan when you can't even afford Bully Ray? But
yeah,
how much, if you're Hulk Hogan, can you really ask for right now? It's almost like you'd be doing them a disservice by going there rather than doing them a favor.
Well, we'll see if the new ownership wants to do something. We'll see. Okay,
so we'll have to follow the Hogan story, everybody, and if you've heard anything, let us know. Because it's a lot of stuff that's being talked about right now regarding the Hogan situation that hasn't even come out yet. So anyway,
there's still more to come.
The standings of the G1 right now in Block A, Shinsuke Nakamura. This is actually the opposite. They've got this wrong. So I'm just going to read everybody's points here because they've got the blocks totally screwed up in this thing that I'm reading here on Wikipedia. Well done, Wikipedia. We all know they've never made a mistake when it comes to accuracy. But
no, not at all.
Shinsuke Nakamura, I'm in the wrong year. That's why. That's why. Live show, everybody.
Live radio. Good job.
Live radio. Here we go.
There we go. 2015.
Now, we're in 2015, so this is accurate now. Block A. Okay. Block A. AJ Styles, 4 points. Hiroshi Tanahashi, 4 points. Hiroshi Tenzan, 2 points. Tetsuya Naito, 2 points. Togi Makabe, 2 points. Katsuyori Shibata, 2 points. Kota Ibushi, 2 points. Bad Luck Fale, 2 points. And by the way, Kota Ibushi got a win this morning against Doc Gallows, so that's where he got that 2 points. Bad Luck Fale defeated, who was it? Togi Makabe this morning. That's where he got his 2 points. Doc Gallows at 0 points. Toru Yano at 0 points. Block B. Hiroki Goto, 2 points. Carl Anderson, 2 points. We talked about the win over Shinsuke. Kazuchika Okada, 2 points. He got a win over Michael Elgin, and actually a very, very good match. Tomohiro Ishii, 2 points. Yuji Nagata, 2 points. He got the win over his buddy Hanma a couple days ago. Shinsuke Nakamura, 0 fucking points. This is crazy. Tomoyoki Hanma, 0 points. Michael Elgin, 0 points. Satoshi Kojima, 0 points. Yujiro Takahashi, 0 points. So the two guys that are in the lead right now, AJ and Tanahashi from Block A. And it's going to be interesting after the weekend to see where the standings are at. I would think Shinsuke is going to start racking up some victories, but you never do know.
No. And we'll try and have a full standings update after Sunday on our page as well.
And we'll be talking to you next week, too, because I'm going to be calling on you a lot over the next month. To give me your thoughts on some of these great matches that we're seeing as part of this tournament, the greatest tournament in all of professional wrestling. So everybody, hope you have a great weekend, a weekend of great wrestling. Monday's Raw, hey man, follow it up with something like this Monday and I'm in. That's all I'm going to say.
For sure.
But what can you do with Taker and Brock to keep things, the upward mobility, I guess you could say, rather than having this thing fizzle out and doing some shitty contract signing that people aren't excited about at all. But I don't know. After this week, I should probably have some faith in this company because they did that right. What it does for the overall company going forward and star making, nothing. But it'll be entertaining to watch the build. Will the match be good? I predict the match will be better than WrestleMania, but that's not too hard to do, is it?
No.
So Sean,
no, it isn't.
What do you got planned for the weekend?
Oh, I got planned for the weekend? Not a whole lot. A lot of watching of wrestling and following stuff, and you never know. I may jump back online somewhere before we get to the end of Sunday.
Well, I know how you do. You just build up all your shit on your on your PVR.
Yeah.
And then usually the weekend is when you catch up on everything. So this weekend with the G1 too, you just got you might as well just stay up all night.
There's a thought in heat.
Right. Well, we'll talk to you next week. We'll get some more thoughts on some of this G1 action. I do think that Ibushi and Styles match is going to be stellar. Naito and Tanahashi as well should be stellar. So we'll talk to you next week at some point. Sean, thanks for being here. Enjoy your weekend and say hello to your girlfriend and pick her brain regarding Hulk Hogan and take your dog for a nice long walk in the park and we'll talk to you next week. So from myself, from Sean Cunningham, the Commissioner Man, we want to say peace, love, War Weekly Live, and Shanzi, tell him the rest.
Wrestling Audio Revolution.
Was that going to be part of the evolution? Was it something you came up with, or something that Paul came up with, or the bookers, or how did that work?
At the time, Paul didn't even know I could talk.
Man, I know it's something that you've talked about a billion times before, but I have to ask it.
The Commissioner, Sean Cunningham's
Introducing Frederick's Chinese Restaurant. Halal Hakka Indian cuisine. Serving Mississauga and surrounding areas. We look forward to seeing you.
Do you know how healthy your heart is? The people of the village of Gujarwal, Punjab are reaching out to our community in collaboration with Dr. Dominic Racco of the William Osler Health Systems and the Heart and Stroke Foundation to proudly present a free heart screening clinic to everyone at Ontario Khalsa Darbar, Dixie Gurdwara on Sunday, September 28th from 1 to 4 p.m. On-site nurses and our chief cardiologist will be there to check blood pressures, cholesterol, and answer any questions you or your family may have. For registration and more information, please call Simi Grewal at 647-633-2669 or Rajinder Grewal at 905-781-8125. This event is proudly supported by RBC, Gujarwal Development Associations, and Ajala Innovations.